And good evening to all of you, those of you that are here live, and then of course those that will watch this at a later time potentially. I'm going to be talking about marketing and recruitment, and I'm going to start my timer so that I can regulate myself and make sure I'm on the money with that. Can you see, what screen are you seeing? Are you seeing
Yes, we're seeing marketing and
marketing?
recruitment.
Okay. So, marketing and recruitment. I think this tagline here is probably the most important thing that I would like for you to take away from this presentation is that marketing is more about you than what you do. Keep that in mind as we go through the presentation. What truly drives successful marketing in Adventist schools? Marketing isn't just about materials, it's about the quality of your program and living the spiritual mission. That is ultimately what Adventist education is all about. It's a spiritual work, it's a holistic work. And so before you venture forward into thinking about how you want to market, thinking about how you want to recruit, thinking about what types of material you want to put together, brochures, webpage, logos, whatever, it's important that you really examine and do an internal audit to ascertain whether or not your mission statement aligns with your practice. So really, the most important first step in marketing is to really self-examine, is to introspect and look at the very core mission of your institution and make sure your practice is aligned. If it's not aligned, then you need to go through a process of making sure that it's congruent. You need to change your policies to match your practice or change your practice to match your policies. And of course, all of that needs to be underneath the overarching mission of Seventh-day Adventist education and its philosophy. But that's a really important element. The heart of Adventist education, we have a very unique value proposition, and it's our spiritual mission. We can't ever get away from that because that's the distinction that makes Adventist education so special. It's Christ-centered. It's nurturing a holistic approach, the mind, body, and spirit. It is making a difference in the lives of students, not just for the time they have here on earth, but for eternity. The first 4 chapters of the book Education are the philosophical framework for Adventist education. And so I would encourage you to take your board through the first 4 chapters of the book Education, well, the whole book for that matter, but specifically those 4 chapters, because it's important for you to understand what the philosophical framework is of Adventist education so you can build a marketing plan that correlates directly to that. There's lots of different educational options for families today. There's charter schools, public schools, there's private Christian schools, all kinds of parochial school options. But there's only one Seventh-day Adventist educational option, and it needs to be distinct and nuanced according to the mission that we have. The book Education, page 13, true education means more than the pursuit of a certain course of study. It means more than a preparation for the life that now is. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. Well, that's talking about eternity, not just this life here. It's the harmonious development of the physical, mental, and spiritual powers, those 3 things. The joy of service in this life, and of course, the joy of higher service and wider service in the world to come. What a thought that is. So the spiritual centeredness, the spiritual quality of your program is your best marketing tool. That's what everything else springboards off of as far as the Seventh-day Adventist mission is concerned. And don't get away from that in your marketing. Sometimes we want to chase rabbit holes with what other school systems are doing because we think that that is what's best. But Dr. Dwayne Kovrick has a phenomenal presentation about Naaman and how the prophet Elisha told him that the blessing of healing he needed was in the Jordan River, that muddy river. He wanted to go somewhere else, but in fact, that was where the blessing of God was. And we in Adventist education need to remember that our blessing lies in the specific blueprint that God has given us, bringing students to Christ, having academic excellence, and a strong commitment to the service component. The book Christian Service says on page 64 that it's necessary for a child's complete education that they be given an opportunity to do service and outreach. And always remember when you're working with your boards and you're trying to put together a marketing plan, Ellen White says in letter 316, page, 1908, numbers are no evidence of success. If they were, Satan might claim much. It is the degree of moral power that pervades our institutions and our churches. It should be the joy of all, from the highest to the least, to represent Christ in Christ-like virtues. Let all our teachers learn that true piety, love shown in obedience to God, will elevate and refine. So always remember that if you're at the core of what Adventist educational mission is, that's a powerful thing to leverage, and it's a powerful thing to market. God will take care of the numbers. Our job is to be faithful to mission. As far as marketing goes in Adventist education, we can't get away from the importance of the pastor. The pastor is probably the most powerful individual marketer that a school has, because they appeal to the broad constituency, and they are essential allies in marketing your school. They are ambassadors, as I said. They collaborate with you for school visit, home visits, church events, community engagement. They provide support from the pulpit. As far as superintendency is concerned, if we have a pastor that is not supportive of Adventist education, I call that a dark area in my conference, because it's very hard for the Adventist educational mission to get wind underneath the wings in a specific local community if the pastor is not supportive of Adventist education. It's critically important. So build relationships with your pastor. Obviously, they're appropriate, but build relationships, pray with your pastor. It's important for you to also remember this. You are an ambassador on behalf of the church to the school and to the students and to the constituency. Adventist education is a powerful evangelistic tool, and it's important for you to be part and parcel of the ministry of the church as it's represented in the school, and then the pastors to represent the ministry of the school in the church. I want to talk just briefly about visitation and the personal touch. Personal visits make a lasting impression. And I'll just say, and I probably say this a little bit later in this slide, but we're getting into a situation in our society, and COVID has contributed to this a lot, where we are distanced by technology. We're distanced by electronic communication. We're losing some of those personal touch points. Yes, there are tremendous advantages. This meeting using technology is one of those examples. It's bringing us all together in a very special way, providing conveniences. But in the local community, I can't emphasize enough the importance of taking the opportunity to do home visits, a lot of times with your pastor. This builds relationships, and it has an impact on current and future families, because it demonstrates effort that is beyond what is expected in this electronic age. You blow somebody away if you call them up and say, hey, I'd like to set up an appointment to come visit you at your home, because now everything's texting. Some families may not want that. That's okay. But at least you're giving that as an opportunity. Your students will love the fact that you would come to their home and visit them. It's just something to keep in mind as you are looking at marketing opportunities. And then combined with that personal touch, of course, is utilizing technology. But always remember, social media, web pages, all of the technology that we can use for marketing is important, and it enhances your reach, but it should be a complement to personal connections. I'm not just talking about the home visit now. I'm talking about the broader sense of the marketing you do with your families when you go out and you visit students and welcome them into school and wave at parents as they go by. When you're outside as kids are getting picked up and you say hi to a parent, and you keep those personal touches going. Make sure you understand the balance. But you can utilize social media in powerful ways for marketing in today's world. You can post engaging content, stories, videos, testimonials. You can provide consistent messaging that's aligned with the spiritual mission, and continue to put that out on social media. And so it's important too, the last thing in this slide, keep your website up to date. I can't tell you how many times I've looked at school websites and they are atrociously out of date. The calendar isn't even updated. Personnel maybe not updated. Information, etc. It just looks like nobody's touched it maybe in a year or two. That is a really poor representation from a marketing standpoint, because parents nowadays, when they are going to look at a school, they're shopping online first. And then if they see something that's good and presentable, then they will potentially be interested in having a personal visit. So brochures, materials, make sure that what is stated in your brochure is evidenced in what is actually happening. I cannot emphasize this enough when it comes to marketing. It's really critically important to make sure your mission is aligned with practice, your policies are aligned with practice, make sure those are congruent, and then make sure whatever you're saying is happening in your marketing brochure, when people come to your campus, and they actually audit that and they vet that, that truly the substance of your program is accurately correlated and congruent with what you're saying on your website, what you're putting out in brochures. And make sure that the spiritual thematic is always going through everything that you're doing. Also, spend some time in generating a logo. This is our logo for the Michigan Conference Education Department. And then the sub logo that we use to identify what our mission statement is, bringing students to the foot of the cross, quality at all levels, and training students in the message and mission of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, is another logo that we generated that keeps the theme. We put this logo across everything. We have stickers, we have shirts, we have sweatshirts, we just handed out at Teachers Convention beanie caps with the logo on it. This theme gives something for people to identify with, and it's a hook. It's a marketing hook, but it's also a thematic missional hook that families can grab a hold of and identify with. And so that's important. Lastly, it's really important to understand the power of the story. Okay, people love stories. They love stories that show that the investment that is happening in your school is paying dividends in lives being touched. Real life touch point stories create a powerful tug for people. And when you need to market needs, okay, so it's not just marketing your school, but when you need to stand up in front of your church and market your need for worthy student dollars, these touch point stories are incredibly powerful. When you're talking to parents, prospective parents, and you have these touch point stories that are real and tangible about the benefit and the blessing that the Adventist educational system has been to this particular child and the learning growth that's happened, the improvements in reading, the decisions for baptism, all of these things, the powerful student to teacher ratio and how students come and feel safe, all of these things are really, really powerful. And you can pull parents in. They can even say it anonymously if they'd like. Get some stories, some little blurbs from parents and put it on your website, your brochures. Have elevator speeches that you can share with prospective people, because you never know when you're going to have an opportunity to market your school. I flew fast. I've sent this presentation to Nicole, and if anyone would like it, you're welcome to email her. But that is my presentation on marketing.